You're lying in bed at 2 a.m., replaying a text message that never got a reply. Your chest feels tight. Your stomach twists. You didn't break a bone. Nobody hit you. And yet your body is reacting like something just hurt you. Why does being left on red feel like an actual injury? Somewhere inside your skull, in a region that has no idea what a smartphone is, your brain just sounded an alarm. The same alarm it would sound if someone slammed a door on your hand. Scientists have a name for this. They call it social pain. And the unsettling truth is this: your brain cannot tell the difference between a broken heart and a broken bone. So why would evolution build us this way? Why would something as harmless as silence from a friend or a slow fade from someone you loved trigger the same neural circuitry as physical danger? The answer's older than language itself. And once you understand it, you'll never look at heartbreak the same way again. Millions of people right now are nursing wounds nobody can see. A man scrolling through his ex's new relationship, feeling a pain so real he checks if he's having a heart attack. A teenager excluded from a group chat, staring at her phone, feeling physically sick. An employee passed over in a meeting, smiling on the outside while something inside him quietly collapses. None of these people are weak. None of them are overreacting. They are experiencing something the human brain was never designed to dismiss. For most of human history, being rejected by your group wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence. Tens of thousands of years ago, before supermarkets, before locked doors, before 911, a human being alone in the wild didn't survive long. No tribe meant no protection from predators, no help finding food, no one to keep watch while you slept. Being cast out wasn't just sad, it was often fatal. So your brain evolved a brutally effective alarm system, one that would make exclusion feel unbearable, specifically so you would do everything in your power to avoid it. That alarm system never got the memo that times have changed. You can survive a rejection email today. You can survive being unfollowed, ghosted, or excluded from a party. But the ancient part of your brain doesn't know that. It still reacts as if your survival is on the line. And that is the secret nobody tells you about heartbreak. It isn't a metaphor. It's a leftover survival mechanism running on outdated software in a world that no longer matches the danger it was built for. Now, here's where it gets genuinely fascinating. In the early 2000s, a psychologist named Naomi Eisenberger ran an experiment that would change how we understand pain forever. She put people into an MRI machine and had them play a simple ball-tossing game with two other players, supposedly through a screen. What the participants didn't know was that the other two players were computer programs, and at a certain point, the program would stop throwing the ball to them. No explanation, just exclusion. While this was happening, Eisenberger watched their brains in real time, and what she saw was extraordinary. The same region that activates when you stub your toe or burn your hand, the anterior cingulate cortex, lit up the moment people felt left out. Not a similar region, the same one. Your brain processes the sting of being excluded from a simple ball game using the identical machinery it uses to process physical injury. This wasn't just an interesting coincidence. It revealed something profound about what pain actually is. Pain at its core isn't just a sensation. It's an alarm system designed to protect you from things that threaten your survival. And for social animals like us, isolation has always been one of the deadliest threats there is. So your brain, brilliant and efficient as it is, repurposed the exact same alarm for two very different threats: a physical wound and a social one. This is why researchers later found something that sounds almost unbelievable. In one study, people who took regular Tylenol, a basic painkiller, reported less emotional distress from social rejection than people who took a placebo. Let that sink in for a moment. A pill designed for headaches and sore muscles was dulling the pain of heartbreak. If social pain and physical pain didn't share the same biological roots, that simply wouldn't be possible. So when someone says, "It's just a breakup, get over it," or "Why does losing one friend feel this devastating?" they're misunderstanding basic human biology. Your nervous system isn't being dramatic. It's doing exactly what it was designed to do, protecting you by making disconnection feel intolerable, so you'll fight to reconnect. But understanding the brain is only half the story. The real weight of this truth lives in the people who carry it every day. Take Sarah, a 34-year-old graphic designer. 3 months after her divorce, she still couldn't walk past the coffee shop where she and her husband used to sit on Sunday mornings. Her friends told her it had been long enough, that she should be moving on by now. What they didn't understand was that her brain wasn't simply remembering a relationship. It was healing from an injury, the same way a body heals from surgery, except nobody could see the wound. So nobody understood why it was taking so long. Or consider Marcus, 16 years old, sitting alone at lunch after his friend group quietly stopped inviting him to things. No one said he was excluded outright. There was no dramatic fight, no explanation. Just silence, and a group chat he was slowly phased out of. Marcus told his mother he felt like he was disappearing. What he was actually experiencing was his brain registering social exile, the exact threat our ancestors feared most, dressed up in the modern costume of a group chat. Then there's Elena, a successful 40-year-old executive who confided that the hardest pain of her life wasn't her father's death. It was the slow, wordless fate of her best friend of 20 years, who simply stopped responding to messages one year and never explained why. Grief from death, she said, came with rituals, funerals, sympathy cards, permission to mourn. But this kind of loss had no ritual at all, just an unanswered question that replayed in her mind for years. Why? Why did this happen? Why wasn't I enough to stay for? And there's James, a soldier who survived combat overseas, who once said the deployment itself wasn't what broke him. It was coming home and feeling like a stranger to people who used to know him completely. The bullets he understood. The distance in his old friend's eyes he didn't. What connects every one of these stories isn't weakness. It's biology doing exactly what it evolved to do. Each of these people experienced a very real injury, processed by very real neural circuitry, even though there was no blood, no scar, nothing a doctor could photograph or stitch. So if your brain treats rejection like a literal wound, how do you actually heal from something invisible? This is where the science becomes hopeful, because once you understand what's happening inside you, you gain real power to work with your brain instead of against it. The first thing to understand is that naming your pain accurately changes how your brain processes it. Researchers have found that when people label their emotional experience specifically, saying, I feel rejected or I feel abandoned, rather than vaguely, I feel bad, activity decreases in the brain's threat center and increases in the prefrontal cortex, the rational, regulating part of your mind. This is called affect labeling, and it works almost like translation. You're taking a raw, wordless alarm signal and converting it into language your thinking brain can actually manage. This is why journaling about heartbreak, or simply saying out loud, this really hurts, isn't a sign of weakness. It's a scientifically backed way of calming your nervous system down. The second insight is something most people get backwards entirely. We tend to isolate ourselves when we're hurting, pulling away exactly when we need connection most. But because social pain evolved as a signal to seek your tribe, withdrawing from people when you're wounded is like ignoring a fire alarm by leaving the building unlocked. Reaching out, even briefly, even imperfectly, sends your nervous system the signal that you are not actually alone, which is the precise message your ancient brain is desperately waiting to receive. This doesn't mean forcing yourself into crowds. It means one honest conversation. One message to someone who cares can do more for your healing than days of silent suffering. The third truth is harder to accept, but deeply freeing once you do. Just as a broken bone needs time to physically knit back together, social wounds need time too. And rushing that process doesn't make you stronger. It just delays the healing. Studies on grief and social loss consistently show that emotional recovery isn't linear. It comes in waves, with good days followed by setbacks that don't mean you've failed. Your brain is doing repair work you cannot see, rebuilding trust, recalibrating safety, the same way tissue regenerates beneath a bandage. Patience with yourself isn't indulgence. It's physiology. The fourth piece of the puzzle is self-compassion, and this one might be the most powerful of all. Research from psychologist Kristen Neff has shown that people who treat themselves with kindness during painful experiences, the way they'd comfort a friend, show lower levels of cortisol, the body's primary stress hormone, and recover from emotional injuries faster than people who respond to their own pain with criticism. Telling yourself, I should be over this by now, doesn't speed up healing. It actually activates more threat response, more inflammation, more of the very pain you're trying to escape. Gentleness, it turns out, isn't just emotionally nicer, it's biologically more effective. And the fifth thing, the one most people never hear, is that creating new positive connections doesn't erase old pain, but it does something almost as important. It teaches your nervous system that safety and belonging are still available to you. Every time you experience genuine connection, a real conversation, a moment of being truly seen by another person, your brain releases oxytocin, sometimes called the bonding hormone, which directly counteracts the stress response triggered by isolation. This is why grief support groups work. This is why even small moments of community, a kind coworker, a reconnected old friend, a new person who makes you laugh, can begin repairing damage that feels permanent. Your brain isn't just remembering what hurt you. It's constantly updating its model of whether the world is safe, and new connection is some of the strongest evidence it can receive. Understanding all of this changes everything about how we should treat each other and how we should treat ourselves. When someone tells you they're struggling after a breakup that wasn't even that serious, or grieving a friendship that was just a friendship, remember that their brain experienced something real, something biologically equivalent to injury. Dismissing that pain isn't just unkind, it's scientifically inaccurate. And when you find yourself wondering why you can't just get over something that logically shouldn't hurt this much, remember that you're not broken, you're not oversensitive. You are a human being whose brain is functioning exactly as it was built to, by millions of years of evolution that once depended on your tribe to keep you alive. There's something strangely beautiful hidden inside all of this pain. The very fact that rejection hurts so deeply is proof of something remarkable about you. It means you are wired for connection. It means belonging matters to you on a level so fundamental that your body cannot distinguish it from survival itself. The ache you feel when someone walks away isn't a flaw in your design. It's evidence of how deeply built you are for love, for community, for being known by other people. So the next time your chest tightens after a silence you didn't expect, or your stomach drops at a goodbye you didn't choose, don't tell yourself it's irrational. Don't tell yourself it's just social, as if that makes it smaller. Your brain is doing exactly what it has done for hundreds of thousands of years, sounding an alarm to protect something precious, your place among other human beings. And maybe that's the real lesson hidden inside all this science. We spend so much energy trying to convince ourselves that emotional pain isn't real, that we should be tougher, faster to heal, less affected by people who leave. But what if the opposite is true? What if the pain itself is proof of how human you are? Every wound you've carried from rejection, every sleepless night replaying a goodbye, every ache from someone who stopped choosing you, it all comes from the same place. A brain built across thousands of generations to need other people, desperately, biologically, completely. So the wound is real, but so is the healing. And somewhere between the two lies the most human truth there is. We were never meant to survive alone. We were built, down to our very neurons, to find our way back to each other.